Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. Today we have a returning guest, Mr. Michael Valle of BELLA-TERRA, and today he brings with him Dr. Sondra Miller with Boise State University. So welcome both of you. Michael, welcome back.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you. We're glad to be back, and I think we have some sufficient or some interesting news updates from where we were back in April of this year.
Yes.
We've made our way to the point that we're about to launch with Boise State an R&D that will commercialize our products hopefully by mid-second quarter of 2022.
And real quick, what are your products, just in case somebody didn't see your first episode?
We are going to be developing a commercialized version of our recycled material into building blocks, veneers, and landscaping products and infrastructure products that are very badly needed right now, to say the least, across the country and throughout the world. We have had the good fortune to recently come in contact with a commercial operator, Rochelle Enterprises. They're out of Syracuse, New York, and they have agreed to join our group and become the commercialized operator that will take what we create in the lab and what we've worked on thus far into the commercial environment of a traditional batch plant and produce our first generation material for testing, ASTM and compression testing and certification to market entry. And I think that's a sizable step forward. We need a lot of help, but it's a sizable step forward.
And also, I mean, when people talk, because you guys are doing, just so I have my notes, because I don't want to get anything wrong, but recycled material, aggregate material for landscaping and construction and building, which historically has a very high CO2 or carbon dioxide, GHG, greenhouse gases footprint. So we need to rethink how we do all of our construction, how all of our landscaping, all of our architecture. And when we spoke last time, you guys were working on these technologies and working on recycling. And one of the things that you guys have really nailed that I haven't seen anywhere else is using recycled lithium from old batteries in your construction. Could you talk a little bit about that?
We've had another fortunate contact with some leading recyclers of lithium-ion batteries. As we approach a new era of energy, we're going to be consuming in our products more lithium-ion batteries, which ultimately could create another problem. The disposal of the batteries that after they've been spent. As we increase the volume, we're increasing that volume as well. One of the things that is interesting that in the process of this recycling, it offshoots a gypsum material, which we've been able to use as standard gypsum is used in standard concrete formulas now, mined gypsum, that is. We've been able to utilize it in our formula, and thus far, we've had it tested and have had results of 3,000 psi compression, which gives us a wide range of use for the material. But now, as we move forward in our R&D, we hope to develop that 100% recycled content, utilize the gypsum, and evolve to developing a zero carbon concrete. And that, I think, is what we need most of all at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Dr. Miller, so your involvement, you are an environmental engineer with the Department of Civil Engineering at Boise State. Obviously the smartest person in the room.
Not necessarily.
I have a well-known love of engineers. So, you know, how did you guys meet and get brought into this?
Well, we met at my birth. So
Not kidding.
not kidding. Mike is my uncle. My mother was his sister. So
Oh, okay, that's wonderful.
and
And I
it
drove
actually,
the car that took my sister to the hospital.
yeah,
So the second you were born, you guys met.
She was not, she
pretty
was
much,
not
yeah.
kidding.
Not
Not kidding.
kidding. So it just so happens that I'm a civil engineer by undergraduate training and environmental engineer, and my area of research, other than building materials, is actually contaminant fate and transport. And so when you're thinking about the shift in how energy is used from more fossil fuels to, still electricity is mostly generated by the consumption of fossil fuels, but there's these batteries. So what happens with a potential contaminant from the batteries? And that's really where I come in and look at, okay, so we have a product that we need. We know we need, it comes to us in a certain form. How do we get consistency, and what's the optimum amount of gypsum that we can put into our formulation to get a consistent product? And so it really started with Mike in the lab or in the shop, tinkering to see what actually worked and to see what we can get. And so that was the first step. Yes, we can do it. Now is to actually introduce, scientific method and to say, okay, can we reproduce these results? What are the conditions that we need to be consistently reproducing them? And then taking it to the next level of how do we scale that into production. So again, more tinkering, so to speak, in the lab, directed tinkering, and then how do we then scale that to the full production? And then the sidelines is all of, well, in that middle part is another person who is very skilled at the taking it from proof of principle to the actual quality measures and the production and the consistency, because we're dealing with lots of standards, and so how do we meet those standards on a consistent basis? So that's
mean, like,
really
compliance standards to make sure it's structurally sound, things like that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, ASTM standards. So I always forget what that stands for, but American Standards Testing
Materials.
There you go. That's why we use acronyms. Yeah. And, making sure that we are keeping a zero emissions product.
Which is huge. I mean, people don't realize the footprint that construction and architecture has. So as you guys, I know you're scaling up, and I know, you're going to be available to the public soon. Where could people find you and buy this project or partner with you for large scale purchases?
Well, at this point in time, we're available through our family operated business, which is MCM Natural Stone.
Okay.
The website is info@mcm.com. And also we have our short deck PowerPoint, which I believe I forwarded to you, which does give us or offer a more detailed look at what we're doing. And there is contact information there.
Okay.
I could give you my contact information. People can call me directly if they want.
Yeah, I could put that all out there too.
Okay. We really need a lot of support right now. We've got to accelerate our effort, I believe, because we're running out of time. We're seriously running out of time. And I can't emphasize that enough. We're looking for government support, private support, in any way that we can.
Yeah, and you're right. We do need to put the pedal to the metal. We've been talking for decades, We now
We're
need
going to
action.
run out of concrete. First
Yeah.
of all,
Yeah.
the bad kind, and it's not bad kind, it's the only kind that we have, but we're going to run out of materials. As the population increases, the resources decrease to make these materials. We're going to have to concentrate on recycling the material into the same material that we made in the first place, one way or another, and yet consider the environment with developing and evolving zero carbon material. Zero carbon is a tough target to hit, but serious reduction of the carbon footprint, beginning with as simple a process as taking or making a new concrete block that we're about to get into and offer, or at least have it commercialized by early 2022. If we could do that on a broad stroke picture basis across the world, or at least throughout the US, I believe that we can begin to reduce that carbon footprint seriously. The research needs to go on, and we don't project, or our timeline that we're working with right now is 2030 for a zero concrete formula. That's still a huge, target, or a small target to hit. It's a hard target to hit, and right now, anyone interested can contact us through your resources, or directly to MCM Natural Stone, or my information, Michael Valle, and I can give you that now if you wish.
Sure, absolutely, please do.
I can be contacted through MCM Natural Stone at area code 585-586-6510, or I'll even put my cell phone out there at 585-303-0225.
Excellent.
I'm willing to talk to anyone who's interested in our program and what we're doing, and listen to what advice or tips or anything that they may be able to throw at us in terms of any kind of support.
Well, here's a question. I've done some research on, because my background being environmental risk in the construction industry, so I dealt a lot with knowledge about construction. And I read that there's a woman in Kenya who's working with waste plastic bags primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And she's making little not concrete, but bricks. And do you see you guys moving into that realm? Because I don't know of many people in the US who are doing that yet.
I think one of the things that really needs to be done is there needs to be a communications link with the world, that people are working with various types of cementatious and or new product materials that are similar to ours. I don't see that happening. Not on a broad stroke picture. I don't see that. To me, it's very limited at this point. It does occur through academia, which we have that link with Sondra, but on a day-to-day production product kind of research tinkering, there's no means of communicating with people wherever they are. I could have somebody here in Rochester working on the same thing I'm working on, and I don't know it.
No, you're right. There's not great communication, not a lot of collaboration, because everybody wants to be first to the plate. But the reality being that we're all in the same direction together, and we need to move in that same direction together.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I say this a lot, especially with energy. Everyone has their own energy things. Like, we're all going in the same direction. Let's just keep moving forward. But so moving forward, April 2022, you guys are going to be commercialized, or more publicly available. What's your next goal? After the lithium recycling, gypsum materials, and the recycled aggregate materials. Any future plans, like any grandiose plans you're looking at that you can share?
Yes, actually, one of the things that is a very serious part of our goal is to, as a science and technology company, develop the science and technology and make it accessible to the traditional operators who would be willing to come on board and utilize in a percentage of their operation our science and technology to interject a product line, a recycled product line. We want to make it as simple as possible.
I
One of
like
our
that.
goals immediately is to build a prototype batch plant where we can test our formulas and test under traditional conditions the reduction of traditional batching with our science and technology to its simplest degree, that someone, wherever they are, an operator, wherever they are, can rely on the natural sources in that area to incorporate our science and technology to produce a recycled material.
I think that's great. A lot of people don't realize that, yes, we have to use the materials that are readily available to us rather than shipping materials from halfway around the world to fit a formula that's been already established.
And that's, I think, a serious step forward.
Yes, that is a serious, because you're modifying what you are making based on what you have available, which is brilliant. A lot of people are, not willing to take that step to go out of their mold, go out of their normal. So that's huge.
My whole approach is it's not about me. It's not about money, although we need the money. But I mean, yeah, it's not about becoming a bazillionaire because I've found something that somebody else may not have found. It's about us. It's about the world, about the third rock from the sun.
Very true.
Personally, I don't think colonizing Mars is where I would want to spend the money.
No, I have to agree with you on that. It's not a viable option.
Well, we're in serious trouble. This is a serious program, and we need to, as a group, as a mankind, needs to come together in a serious way.
Oh, I could not agree with that more. That is beautifully said. You're right. We do need more collaboration amongst all of us, regardless of your politics and your borders and your country. We're all in this together. No one's immune from climate change. I'm sorry.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's a common ground. It's for all of us. Although it's bad, it's for all of us. And
it is. And
no
we're
one
moving
will
forward.
escape. No one will get out from underneath what is approaching.
Very true. Dr. Miller, did you have anything you wanted to say on closing out, or?
I think that this is a great opportunity, even regardless of our personal relationship. It's a great opportunity to actually teach the next generation. So the research is really teaching the next generation of students. So we're able to have undergraduates, some in their sophomore and junior year, just to kind of see what research is like and be able to pay them, because the cost of education is pretty crazy right now. And so they get some paid training, and they get to decide, is this what I want to do or not? And then it'll lead to graduate students as well, where they're actually doing fundamental research, publishable research. So it's a great opportunity to keep that sort of workforce training in a way.
Oh, yes.
In which is just as important as the product or the people. And, if I've learned anything over the last almost 16 years in academia, is that it doesn't matter so much if the research that you do for like a graduate degree is what you want to do for the rest of your life. It does give you a great foundation for learning how to learn. So I think,
that's brilliant, because you learn by doing, actively doing. And, not just the next generation, but I think existing generations.
Yeah.
never stop learning, and never stop learning how to do things differently.
Right. And actually this is, I mean, what I've listened to both of you as I was listening to both of you, it's like we're not really doing anything new. We're just doing the same thing in a different way. And that's what's I think, everybody's looking for the big wow. And the reality is, if we go back to, our grandparents and their parents and what they did just to survive, that's sustainability. I mean,
it is.
I mean, my other grandparents composted and, all of those things. And it's like, and somehow that got out of vogue, but they did it out of necessity. So
I say that quite a bit. I tell people we kind of need to think back to what our grandparents did, because they reused, they recycled, they repurposed. We learned to throw away.
Right. My partner, my domestic partner, he's been in business for the last, since he was a little guy. And he doesn't throw anything away, which is good and not good at the same time.
I can understand that.
And he also, can go to some container somewhere and pull out exactly what he needs, and that, because that was what, you just don't throw things away. You reuse them until they break, until their useful life is gone. So I think really we get to demystify the whole idea of what is sustainable and just think practically to, again, like you said, what our grandparents used to do, because it was out of necessity. They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So.
And they knew the value. Well, things were also made very well back then too. So I'm hoping we have a return to quality over quantity shortly.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Well, guys, thank you so much. Brilliant discussion. So everyone, keep an eye out for BELLA-TERRA, MCM Natural Stone. Great product, great ideas. And I love what you're doing. You're revolutionizing the way that we do construction. So very important. Take care. We will see you guys soon, and join us next time.
Thanks,
Wendy. We'll keep you up to date as we move along.
Oh, absolutely. You are not done with me. You're coming back. I want more.
Thanks.